So guys, welcome to episode 4. It's pretty much the end of 2020, so thought we'd just have 15 minutes or so just to reflect on what's been a pretty interesting year. So I suppose for starters, what's been the biggest challenge we've had or we've seen businesses go through this year? Neil, kick us off.
Well, we went to go to Max first.
Max, kick us off.
I think there's been lots...
Sorry, apart from obviously working with Neil, that's been one of the biggest challenges.
It's been a highlight and a challenge. No, I think there have been lots of things for businesses across the country throughout 2020, whether it was IT infrastructure for everybody to work remotely, all workforces having to move straight to working from home. That's been a huge challenge. There's been elements around employee well-being, which I think has been a massive one. And within that, keeping motivation high at all times has been a real challenge. And some people have struggled with it. I know we've had a number of conversations, probably weekly, on how to keep everybody motivated to the best of our ability. And speaking to a number of candidates and clients over the course of this year, it's been very similar for them. Moving from being in an office 5 days a week to then being at home in varying degrees of isolation has really impacted people. We never thought that this was going to be for as long as it has been. I think initially when this all came into effect, we thought this was going to be for 6 weeks. And then 6 weeks rolled into 12 weeks, and then it just got longer and longer. We came out of lockdown 1, and we thought we were getting back to rosier times. Then we went into the tiered system, which was a complete cluster again. Then we moved into lockdown 2.0. And it's just been a constant evolution of different degrees of challenges. But I think for me, and again, from a lot of our candidates and clients' perspective, it's been about, there's not been the same level of engagement, interaction, because people have been at home for 9, 10, 11 months. And that's what I see from my side.
I want to say it's really strange at Christmas because it doesn't feel Christmassy, and it's strange this time of year. I think everyone's carrying so much stress from the year that normally at this point you're going out, you're letting your hair down, you know, you're bonding and all the rest of it. And I think because that's not quite happening in the same way, it doesn't feel like you're getting rid of the stress. Christmas baubles, mate. Christmas baubles.
There you go, just to make you feel Christmassy, John.
Thank you, mate. But I think it's... Go on.
I'll say the point about employee well-being, it's been a slog. It's been a lot. I mean, it's been a long time, and I think fondly back now. So lockdown part 1 was the sun was shining. I don't know if you remember, the weather was fantastic. Everyone was at home, so they weren't travelling into work. And yes, you couldn't socialise, but if you've got a garden, you could get out in the garden, or you're allowed to go out for walks, and the days were long. And lockdown 2, we didn't have all of that. It was dark, and it was wet, and it was cold. So, a little bit of seasonal affective disorder throws in as the year goes on as well. And I think, we're in a sales business. I mean, many of our clients, all sorts of different types of businesses they're involved in. But, I think anyone in anyone's team at any given point, whether that be, a professional technologist, an accountant, an HR professional, anyone in the team, there's going to be points when any individual is feeling not down. Well, down maybe, but vulnerable, scared, concerned. And while the whole nation embraced working from home very quickly and switched on the technology tools, and the biggest catalyst for digital transformation wasn't the CIO, it wasn't the CTO, it wasn't the CEO. It was COVID, and that drove digital transformation quicker than anything. And everyone turned on the communication tools really, really quickly. But we are social animals, and we do need human interaction. And I think people not being able to have that has been a massive challenge for many, many people. And I think that conversely, the other big challenge for this year, I think, especially on the communication and working from home piece, is I think businesses got into a rhythm from working from home very quickly. Teams turned on, Zoom turned on, WebEx, Blue Jeans, whatever it might be. People got good at all the various collaboration tools, Slack, whatever that might be. People got into a rhythm of when to check in and how to communicate with each other. But then there's the challenge of, hang on, sorry, we got a bit of music, background music. Then the challenge is, as people went back to work in ones or twos, trying to keep that rhythm of communication then became a challenge, because when everyone's in the office, it's great, we can communicate. Everyone's at home, we can communicate. And then everyone had to adapt to, well, half the team are in, or some of the team are in, and some of the team are out. And I've spoken to many, many businesses that have found this intermediate period we're in as challenging, if not more challenging, than initial lockdown.
Yeah. I think also the emotional capital you get in a relationship when you're shooting the breeze in an office. And I think it then becomes more strained, because I think your general communication, whether it's over Slack and all the rest of it, you have a bits of banter and all the rest of it, but you probably don't have the same level of emotional connection with someone. And I think then when the strain comes and the pressure comes, you probably don't have that same depth of relationship. And I think it's been really tough bringing new people into businesses, onboarding and getting them ingrained into a culture. Have you seen much success of really good onboarding in the last sort of 9 months? Are there any things that you'd say, do you know what, that's something that we could learn from, that's something that someone's done really well?
I think there's a lot documented on LinkedIn. Everybody loves to post a picture, everybody loves to post a video when they have a new starter within their business. And I think a big thing a big thing for me that I've certainly seen is how that employee has been feeling within their first day and week within the business. Small things such as just making sure that their laptop, their mobile phone, their starter kit arrives on time, so they're good to go from day one. Another thing, speaking to clients and indeed candidates that we've placed that have had a really slick process, is almost having a detailed timetable of what the first couple of days and weeks looks like. From things that navigating their way around the system, getting to know the different departments, getting to know different people in their team, but still having the time to do that. That's been a big thing that I've certainly noticed over the last 12 months is what is the project plan for a new starter. And the businesses that have done it well seem to have had a timetable of what the first day, week, couple of weeks looks like. But they've still been putting in, and I know we are all Zoomed and Teamed to the end of our tether, but still having those social interactions with the teams, because it is so important when you are a new person in the business to make sure you're getting that level of interaction still.
Yeah, I think that planning I think is really important. I think people talk about communication. I spoke about communication a minute ago, but I think it's got to be really constructive communication. And I think, I think modern guidance would be, over communicate, check in regularly. But I think it's just got to be really constructive conversation about, what's working well, what's working less well, what can we do to improve things, how can we change things. Maybe asking questions. If I've got one, just talking through, I'm thinking through one specific scenario with a candidate we found a role for during COVID, remotely onboarded. But I remember the client sort of talking about how he really managed to open up with asking the questions he might not want to know the answer to, but that's giving the business the feedback they need to make that onboarding work well for that individual, but then also improving it for the next person they hired as well. So I think, constructive conversation, constructive communication, because sometimes checking in can be a bit fluffy sometimes, can't it? It's like, how are you feeling? Yeah, great. You get a bit of small talk back. So I think, really asking what's working well, what's working less well, what can we improve, and probing, really probing to get constructive feedback as opposed to just thinking the first answers. The first answer you get is the answer you want to hear, so everything's good here. You just got to get behind that little thing. I mean, question, what do you think? What do you think we're going to take out of this year and into next year? What business tactics or learnings have there been that I think? Do you think we'd carry on even if the world's back into a post-COVID world where society starts working back in metro centres again and we're all back in offices?
I think a massive one for me, we work in sales, we work in recruitment, right? And I think a big thing when we initially shifted into we've all got to work from home, I don't know if you both felt it's the same, I certainly did, was that trust element. Okay, do we trust that everything is still being done to the best of the ability when people are working from home? So I think for me and for our business, the guys and girls within our organisation have proved that they can still perform working from home. We've had to put a load of trust in them. They've had to put a load of trust in us because we've had to make decisions along the way. So I think a big thing for me, and I'm labouring the point now, is we got to trust people. And when people are working from home in the future, if we are totally back to normal, we know they're still getting done what they need to do every single day. That's going to be the biggest thing for me going into next year.
I mean, I think there's a couple of bits, two big things. I think Neil, you touched on it earlier, like the Zoom, the Teams, the blue jeans. I think that's enabled us. We communicate far more often over video. We used to be a phone call and all the rest of it, and I think some of those elements have brought teams much closer together. And I think certainly from a recruiting perspective, for our clients, I would probably suggest now that everyone's much more comfortable doing video calls, to speed the process up, to always have first round stages, once we get back to a normal world, probably being over video, because it's a lot faster, it's a lot easier, and it saves quite a bit of time for everyone involved. So I'd certainly want to carry, and I know video was something that's coming into recruitment and all the rest of it, but I'd certainly want to carry on using Team and Zooms as much as I do today. I think, as Max said, we're salespeople. We like to be together, but I think certainly that's a really tangible benefit and gives time back to the businesses and individuals from a recruiting process. So I'd certainly do that. I think, secondly, the time that I suppose I've personally had, a lot of the employees have had whilst working from home and being able to balance their time. So, as Max said, still being efficient, but being able to pick up my daughter from school. Some of those little things have made a lot of difference to how I feel. So, if that's how we feel, surely that's how a lot of people feel. So, I think helping families and individuals facilitate their lives around work, not going back to that rigid 8:30, 6:30 or whatever the times are, but trying to make sure that we don't forget, building on Max's point, you trust people, they still deliver, and accept that everyone's got things outside work. We'll have done this for 12 months now. If someone suddenly said, right, you're in the office from 8:30 till 5:30 Monday to Friday, I'd feel quite constrained all of a sudden. I'm not sure I'd feel suddenly really, really hemmed in. So whilst I love to see everyone in the office, and it's great to do it, I think there'll be a hybrid. The new will be a hybrid, and I suppose I'd want to be reminded to make sure that we don't fall back into that's how we used to do it, because I think there's probably a better way that we'll be able to work through as a business, and businesses can, to give employees that little bit more balance, and accept that people have lives outside work.
So, just moving on from that, I think probably the question for me then, gents, what are you optimistic about next year? There's been peaks, there's been troughs this year, there's been a lot of troughs. What are we looking forward to about 2021?
The Lions tour?
I think that we work in recruitment, and recruitment is a great barometer for when the economy is not as healthy as it should be, right? We feel it pretty quick. But conversely, recruiters, the roller coaster ride is whizzing in the right direction when the economy comes back, and that's got to be exciting, right? Having recruited through upturns and downturns before, I mean, there's always a challenge, right? You're either candidate short or your client short, but recruitment is a fantastic place to be when the economy's in that growth mode, and I think we're all optimistic about the economy coming back. I mean, whether it's a Q1, Q2, Q3, whether it's solely dependent upon the vaccine and sort of getting through, the next couple of months, whether Brexit's got a part to play in that or not. But the fundamentals of the economy before COVID hit were okay, and I think. On any given day you can feel optimistic because you might have a little bit more work coming your way, or you've got different things, or you've had some success come your way. But the market's been pretty consistent. It sort of came back a little bit August, September, and maybe dropped off a little bit. But this December, I think everyone goes into the new year with optimism, and everyone's going in with budgets or hiring or plans, and talking to lots of customers and clients that. They're starting to think about those plans, and if for all my fellow brethren recruiters out there, don't worry. Recruitment when the market's good is a fantastic place, and that's got to be something to look forward to. John?
No, as you call it, it's the roller coaster, isn't it? I think next year, clearly, a lot of the teething problems with vaccine and all the rest of it will be done. I think, certainly some of the uncertainty is going to be taken away because, I suppose that we're every month that goes by, we've got a much better understanding of COVID, how it affects us and all the rest of it. I think it's hopefully going to be dying a death. It's still going to be with us for the rest of our lives, if you see what I mean, but hopefully we have some control over it. You look at the Brexit thing, it's coming down to the wire. That's going to be done. So I think we're going to be able to go into next year with a lot more certainty, and businesses will be able to plan. And I think, the one thing that businesses hate is uncertainty. So I suppose what we look forward to, probably a little bit more certainty and a little bit more consistency of what's happening, because, certainty and consistency are the things that businesses love, because they can then plan. And when they can plan, they can grow. And that obviously, kickstarts or helps to kickstart economy and growth and hiring and all the rest of it. So certainly looking forward to that. I'm also looking forward to the summer, just because I'm bored of the winter already.
You need some Christmas spirit, John.
Christmas spirit. I need to wave my arms. The lights have gone out in the room. It's. What about you then, Max? What are you looking forward to?
I think. Do you know what? Again, I think the main thing for me, the thing that I'm really excited about, is the individuals that we have in the business across Manchester and London, and I'm really excited about what we can achieve together as a business. I think we've had a tough old slog this year. There's been highs, of course there has. There's been lows. There's been a couple of those, but I'm really excited about the people that we have in the business, and the ambition that we all have. I think that is a reason to be optimistic about next year. Absolutely.
And I think that, it's interesting, Neil, you've worked through a number of recessions, as have I. However you paint it, it's still your people that bring you through. And like you say, it's been brilliant, getting to know different people through this year. We've brought a load more people into the adventure, new faces, bring new ideas, new optimism and all the rest of it. So, like you say, 21, 22... feels like it's set up really, really well. I hope, we've done quite a bit of hiring for our clients this year. Hopefully there's a number of people who have joined companies and those businesses are feeling as optimistic about 21 and 22. Because there should be a lot that we're optimistic for. Change always gives opportunity.
Absolutely. All right. Amen to that, gentlemen.
Well, on that note, have an awesome Christmas, gents. It's been a pleasure working with you in 2020.
You too, John.
Always a pleasure, never a chore.
I wouldn't quite go that far, but anyway. Have a great new year, and we look forward to episode 5 in 2021.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.